Where is the ramp truck? Is probably a question a lot of you guys have been asking. Not really. Probably not. Anyway, it's right behind me, but I mean, it's not gone nowhere. Where are we on this process of making this thing drivable? Well, that depends on a lot here. I mean, quite frankly, um, my life in general. And right now, my life's pretty busy, pretty jacked up. Work is ramping up. The work here on the property is ramping up. I'm not getting as much time in the garage as usual. Does that mean a whole lot to you guys? Probably not. But it means in my world that I don't get to do all the fun stuff, and that means that life comes first and the projects come second. Okay, with that's out of the way, let's get into where the ramp truck is going and what really the plan was for the ramp truck and how it's going to play a part in the Levi's Backyard Performance. What should I call it? Kennel? I don't know. I feel like we're more of a salvage yard than what I call it, a rescue place instead of an adoption place. We kind of just rescue garbage. But I'm going to get into what the ramp truck is, where the plans are, what's next for it in a second. Okay. This right here is a 1991 Chevy Crew Cab 3500 two-wheel drive. C3500, C2500, whatever it is. 35, that's right. Anyway, this truck has come a long way. What are we missing? What's the plans? What's happening? Okay, plans are to either use that carburetor and figure out all the stuff necessary for it. Possibly not. I'd really actually not like to use that one. And I just got a carburetor for it. It is way old and needs rebuilt. And then I'm also looking for one because the one we got is a 750, and the motor just doesn't need a 750 carburetor. But it's a double feed. It's a nice Holly. It's the 4150. I mean, it's a nice. I don't like this style Holly, but that's just me. Granted, this runs. I mean, this setup runs. It doesn't drive, and I'll show you in a second why. But it does run. We had it running for a little over 20 or 30 minutes. So we do know that it runs. We know that it's good. We knew that from the start, but we didn't know that this carburetor would even idle. So that's kind of cool. Okay, let's talk about the stuff that needs to happen to get it road ready. Like I said, finishing the carburetor up. That's one. We come over here to that. Everybody knows what that is, knows what it's for, why we have to have it, blah, 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 forever and ever, onward. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, brakes. The lines look okay. That doesn't mean they are okay. But it does need front and rear brakes rebuilt and just checked over and made sure that everything's adjusted, everything's good, everything's kosher, nothing's broke. So yeah, that's kind of a plus, or minus. I'm sorry, a negative. But you know, that's part of it. Got to hook all the power steering stuff up. Make sure I get new belts for it, and really fill it with coolant. And the engine bay is quite okay. Now, that isn't the only thing with this truck. Obviously, it takes more than just a motor to get this thing down the road. I don't know if you guys can see that. That says Go Shift. That is the kit that we bought to put a new 4L80 in this truck. It had a 4L80 in it, but This controller doesn't control the original 4L80. For some odd reason, GM was stupid and changed the plugs on the transmission. Right. I'm not going through and depenning everything and doing that. I'm sure I'm going to get that in the comments. You're going to just repend it. Get over it. I don't have time for that. I don't want to do that. There's no reason to do that. Especially when the 4L80 that we're putting in it is in every junkyard, literally everywhere. I could literally be broke down in Texas. I can have a transmission within a half hour, an hour. That one, the original, I probably wouldn't be able to find one within an 8-hour day. And then I have to find it, drive it to get it. Okay, that's number one. That's the other issue we got to get fixed. So once the transmission's in, everything's kosher, everything's plugged in, everything's ready, drive shaft. Power has to get from the transmission to the rear end. And we'll go there in a second. That's a whole nother mess in itself. Drive shaft, easy, kinda. I think that both 4L80s are the same length. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm pretty positive they are. So that should just go bloop, right in there and kosher. On to the rear end. This is the part where everything goes haywire. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Probably not. But that rear end cover has tons of holes in it. And so does the original cover off of the blue truck. So I got to get the rear end cover, and then I also got to make sure that the rear gear is even any good. What makes me think it's good is that A, it never leaked, so all the holes are up above the fluid. That's good, and it's also bad. That also means that water got in it, and there may be rust and garbage in there from however long that had holes in it. It had holes when we got it. We knew that. And we did squirt a bunch of stuff in there to hopefully keep it okay until, we'll get to it. Granted, sometimes that's never enough. And, well, at this point, I don't know. Once we pull it off, we will know everything about it. The reason I didn't pull it off yet is, well, mostly because I wouldn't get to actually put one back on and make sure everything's good and kosher right now. I don't have the time for it. We just aren't planned for it. That's that. Okay, no, that's not the only thing. Okay, one more thing to get it roadworthy, make sure it's safe. Lights. The wiring harness in this thing was so hacked together for the taillights. Wires were nicked, wires were cut, the coating was shredded off of them. Some of them were burnt. This truck is older than most people, in my generation. It's older than everybody in my generation. Anyway, the truck's old. It's had probably 30 owners. It is what it is. So, that's got to happen. I got to get taillights for it. I got to wire the taillights. I got to make sure they work to make it drivable on the road. We haven't even got to the bed floor, which I have purchased. I do have every sheet to put on this bed. Why haven't you put it on? I'll get there. Okay. Why have I not put this bed on? I don't know if you guys will be able to see that. Hang on, let me get you from what I got now to the right video style. Catch you in a second. Okay. See all them cracks? Interesting. Anyway, all of them cracks are little itty bitty cracks in the paint that open up and then expose the end of, or the inside of the paint, which is bare metal. Do we know what bare metal does when it reaches an atmosphere? Say it with me, class. Rust. What does rust do? Well, it makes big holes in cars that aren't supposed to have big holes. So that's another thing. The plan was, at least for me, was to buy a sprayer, one of the airless sprayers. Get a gallon of black Rust-Oleum and go up under here and just get it all nice and coated. We don't care about runs. We don't care about how it looks. It is only for protection from the elements. Those sprayers are not exactly cheap. I mean, you can get cheap ones. And when I say cheap, I mean, we're still talking $100 or plus. So I've just not put that off. It's not a priority. I'd rather get it road driving before we even do the bed, so that as soon as the bed's on it, it's usable. I mean, so that's the reason we haven't done the bed. Yes, Dylan, you can just go and make more money and buy the stuff and create more time. Okay, I get that. There's 24 hours in a day. Not gonna happen. But I appreciate the enthusiasm, and obviously I want to get on this project. I don't want to leave it sitting here. Again, there's this thing called priorities. And they change all the time. Sometimes projects get put to the wayside because other projects take priority in one's said life. This is not, however, an easy way to cop out of doing a project. I don't want this to sit here. Nobody wants this to sit here. But in order for me to continue even doing it, I have to have the race car. Because what would be the point of having this if I don't have the race car? It was bought for the race car. And you might be asking yourself, well, Dylan, you bought a trailer. Yes. Do you know why I bought it? The answer may be very different than what you thought. Which is kind of, honestly, it's a simple thing. I'm not renting a place to put my car in the winter. And I don't know about you, but enclosed space is expensive, and that was not expensive. So that's why it was here. But it's also become a project in of its own to try and make it usable until we can get to this, because the stuff on that is easier to do than on here. And it's done. I mean, it just needs those tires that I bought, and really, I would rather drive it and check and make sure all the brakes work and all that, which we've done that, but I'd rather do it with my vehicle that'll be towing it, so haven't done that yet. I'm rambling. If you have any questions about the ramp truck in itself, I don't mind answering anything. Products that I've used, parts that I've used, where I got my fittings, where I got my lines, where I got this, where I got that. I don't mind answering any of that. So, ask away. This project will come back out. Honestly, I give it 2025. This year has been really hard on us so far already, and we're 3 months in, and I'm scrambling to get out of the hole. And I really didn't dig it myself. Most of it was life hitting me with whatever it could hand me. Typical fashion. But anyway, if you like today's content and you want me to talk more about the projects that I have and the things that I own and explain certain things, please don't hesitate to ask for it. I don't mind videoing this stuff. I think they're boring. Are people going to watch them? Probably not, to be honest with you. But yeah, I don't mind doing it. So, if you have a suggestion, if you have ideas of what you want, there's a comment section for that. Just put it down there. I will see you guys in whenever I upload next. See ya.